What's going on, y'all? This is the Battle Blaster coming back at you. You know, sometimes it's good not to have your cable on or your TV working or whatever, because you can see a lot of things clearly without the interruptions and the distractions that television and media gives. So today I'm coming to you to talk about something. I want to talk to you about weak ass brothers in the neighborhood that is slowly being gentrified, or quickly being gentrified, or slowly being or quickly being snatched from underneath us. And I want to talk another thing too about all these so-called conscious or these information channels on YouTube. I'm not mad at a lot of them, but it is a lot of them that just don't do right. So let's get in on it. Let's first off talk about weak ass brothers, weak ass dudes. Now, I know there's a lot of weak brothers out there, man. Weak ass brothers. Motherfuckers who live off their woman, ain't got a job, ain't trying to get a job, just sitting there around doing nothing. Now, this has been going on for years. I remember Robin Harris would say, you know, a brother would be sitting up in there, some weak ass brother would be sitting up in the house smoking a joint, talking about, baby, the job situation looks sad. Looking at a paper, looking into one ads, and ain't even making a phone call. He just up there smoking some weed and, you know, looking at it. You know, I got some people in my family, they like that. You know, case in point, you know, I was just sitting around talking to one of my family members recently, and this young gentleman, he rather had a phone, you know, than anything else, you know. He's more concerned about his phone situation than anything. I understand a cell phone is good to have because you need it, especially when you don't have a house phone. But you know that, you know, he walks around, and I mean, I'm standing next to him today, and I'm like, either it might have been him. Because usually he do smell very musky. He smells musky as hell all the time. And then his breath smells really, really bad. Like he don't brush and gargle his mouth real good or something. Now, I love my cousin, but I try to tell him, you know, take care of yourself. Do yourself a favor. Take care of yourself. I think I'm going to have to sit down and talk to him. See, this is the thing about men who grew up in fatherless homes. But the funny thing about this, also, you got to understand, he grew up in a home with his father. His father was a military man, but he didn't give him the right tools to be a man, you dig? And as black people, we don't give our kids the right tools, especially men. We don't give ourselves the proper tools to work with. It's like I watch as certain, I've even seen this in my own family. Certain things they just didn't talk about. Women wouldn't talk about their menstrual cycles with their daughters. They never talked to them about pregnancy. A lot of them with their daughters. Didn't say how it works, how this goes down. They don't show really how to clean themselves properly. You know, here, this is how you use the dish. You know, this is what you do. When you wash underneath your arms, this is how you wash underneath your arms. When you wash your feet this way. When you wash, you know, this, that, the other, you know. And men we don't do the same thing with our kids. We don't do the same thing with our sons. Or you wash your balls a certain way. You wash the crack of your ass. You know, when you being a man, you don't complain. You know, you keep yourself together, and you do this and you do that. And, you know, and to be a man, you have to stand on your own 2 feet. And one of the biggest things we tell our kids, and this is men and women, we tell them to go out, finish school, and get yourself a job. Or when you get old enough, when you get your working papers, you should go out and get a job. That's what some of us say. Not all of us, because a lot of people don't even tell their kids, at 16, I want you to go out and get yourself a job, a summer job. A lot of them don't even tell their kids that. They just let their kids run roughshod, and they still buy their kid everything. So when their kid get out of school when they're 17, 18 years old, and they decide not to go to college, those kids sitting around the house smoking weed, drinking, fucking, or some of them ain't even doing that. Some of them might be just sitting around the house, running the street, hanging out with their friends. You know? Then when you say, hey, you got to get up, you got to get a job, they're like, go fuck yourself, old lady. You know, you won't take care of me till I'm dead. I'm like, for real? See, this is where men come in at, and this is where men should be at. But there's a lot of men who don't take their sons to work. They don't sit down and say, hey, I'm going to show you something. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you that. You know, a lot of men aren't even men because they're little boys trying to figure out how to be men. You know, I watch so much shit. Like, if you go into, like, our neighborhoods, in the black neighborhoods, you can go out, if you're living in a black neighborhood today, go outside and walk to your nearest corner store. You don't own your own corner stores. They're either owned by Latins, Indians, Arabs, very, very seldomly white folks. And nowadays, very seldomly Asians, because Asians got their money out of us. They moved on. They got their money. They rich. They moved on to another bigger and better venue. And as black men, we should be teaching our children how to be bosses, how to be our own businessmen. But see, a lot of parents don't even know how to do that. All they know how to do, some of them, all they know how to do is work. Others just want to hustle, or others just want to sit around and do nothing all day. They want to live off the woman. While the woman's out there struggling, putting things together, a lot of men are sitting at home doing nothing. And then you might have those certain men that might be taking care of the mother and the family. You know, he's living that old school life. You don't have to work. I got this. But at the same time, he's not sitting down and he's not enforcing to his children, listen, you got to be business owners. I'm going to help y'all get a business. I want you to start at a young age. I don't give a damn if it's a lemonade stand, a shoe shine stand, or if it's a nail salon you ladies are trying to work on. You want to paint your little girlfriend's nails and fix them for them. You know, none of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. We don't do that. White people will, and it's not only white people. I'm going to be very diverse in this one right here. Every other culture teaches their children, usually, it's best for you to work for yourself. But if you can't, go shoot for something high. Shoot for a job that pays very good. Black people will take the burger jobs. We'll take the washing car jobs. We'll take some of us will even turn a wrench, which turning a wrench is pretty good money. You know, we'll take a grass cutting job. We'll take a maintenance job. We take jobs that we don't have to do much. It doesn't take a mind to think. And then for the black men who do it, like I said, again, we don't. Those are the men that don't sit down and say to their children, I want you to be an entrepreneur. Those are the men who should be sitting down. All black men, period, should be sitting down telling their children they want them to be entrepreneurs and finding ways to help their children. If you sitting around having baby after baby and you ain't doing shit with your life but sitting around waiting for a check yourself, something's fucking wrong with you. Maybe you do need a check. Maybe you need your fucking nuts cut so you don't have no more kids, because you're going to bring sorry ass children into this world if you keep doing what you're doing. And ladies, if you keep allowing these sorry men keep procreating with y'all, you need your shit cut and singed and sealed so you can't have no more babies. Because what you are and that guy is, y'all both are you're a destruction factor to the neighborhood and to black society. What we need is people to bring an awareness that our children need jobs. Not need jobs, but they need to be entrepreneurs. Because if you think about it, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. He has a felon. He's 38 years. How old is he? He's 35. Oh, he's 38. He just turned 38, he said. He's 38 years old, got 2 kids, can't get a job because he has a felon. See, this stuff is designed to keep us going back in jail. If I got child support on me, I can't get a job. I mean, it's hard for me to get a job. And if I do get a job because I got child support on me, they're taking all my check. How am I going to live? This is why them brothers are always back out there in the street selling drugs or breaking the law, doing something. And it's funny because I was watching how heroin is now the biggest opioid thing that's killing whites, but they're selling this shit and allowing it to go down. See, the the heroin dealer can get time, but the user goes into a rehab only if he's white. Only. But if he's black, he goes directly to jail. You see, it's a two-way sword when it comes to whites and blacks in this country. But that's just another point of the conversation, so I'm going to hold off on that for a second. So, yeah, us as black people, we find ourselves always behind the 8 ball, and we're constantly playing by the rules. When are we going to break away from playing by the rules? See, they change the rules when they see fit for themselves. Don't you think it's time for us to fucking create some rules for ourselves and sneak them in here and there and make them work for us? A lot of y'all will sit down and say, oh, what you mean? It all depends. It varies to whatever you're going to do. You dig? But that's a thing that, like I said, as black men, we have to be able to think outside the box. A lot of us can't even think outside the box. We see things only from today till tomorrow. Other people see things from today to 20 years from now. Every store in my town is damn near Hispanic. Just like in the 80s and in the early 90s, it was damn near Korean. Once they got all the money they wanted, they got out of our neighborhoods. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, and I know you probably think the same thing. Why didn't these Koreans go into white neighborhoods? Well, some did, but they weren't making as much money as they would make with us. White people don't really fuck with Asians like that. You know, they might go in and get something here and there. They don't really fuck with them like that. And then after a while, what they do is they get what they want, and then they leave, and those stores usually close down because they're not fucking with them. And that's why it's hard to see an Asian person, unless they got a Chinese restaurant, do well in a white neighborhood. Everybody likes Chinese. You know what I mean? They like Chinese food. But if I'm going to if they had the choice to go to a white person who is Italian or Polish compared to going to an Asian person, that Asian person wouldn't even get no service from no whites unless they're not from that area and they're just stopping in and getting a soda or a bag of chips or a sandwich real quick and leaving. Like the 7-Elevens, they were all owned by Koreans and Chinese or whatever. And then as the 80s drew to a close and the 90s picked up, we had the Pakistanis and Arabs, and then now we got the Indians running all these 7-Elevens. Why is it that we can't get one of those 7-Elevens? Why is it we can't get our corner stores? And the reason why we can't get it is because we are lazy. We are still in a slave mentality. We are still in a slave mode. Mentally, willfully, and heartfully, we're still slaves. We want to stand down when shit go wrong. Then you got some people who would put in that work, but it's always that one person. Don't hurt Master. Master good to us. Don't hurt him. He might bust us up every now and then, but we deserve it. We deserve to get our head knocked in on him. No, fuck that. Those are the weak motherfuckers we need to fucking make sure they never come back. They never fucking come and stop us from doing what we need to do. But like I said, as a black man in this country, I watch as we are slowly being gentrified out of our neighborhoods. And we're slowly starting to see a harassment take place between us and the so-called Latin community. I watch how they turn their nose up to us like we don't do no work here. Like I tell a lot of them, your people wasn't here during the time when we were slaves. You have no right looking down on us like that, unless you sat right there alongside of us during those slavery moments. But you didn't. Y'all guys came in here in the late 1800s, early 1900s. That's when y'all started deporting yourselves over here, coming over here. And then when y'all was getting these slowly, you got those ass whippers from them whites. Guess where y'all was going? Y'all was trying to huddle underneath us for protection. But that's neither here nor there. Like I said, it gets a little weird as it goes along. Now, like I said, we have a bunch of weak men in our community. Don't want to be men and don't know how to be men. I have certain individuals who don't want to do anything. Certain individuals in my family, they don't want to do nothing. I got a family member who, cries and complains about issues, but he allows the issues to take him and let's play this, he allows his issues to dictate to him that he can't do something. Again, another person with a felony. But if you were to give him, let's say if I gave him $10,000, told him to start his own business, 9 times out of 10, you know what he would do? He would take that money and he would fuck it up somehow, and then turn around a week later, 2 weeks later, or a month later. Oh man, you got some more money? Because I tried to do something, but it didn't work. No, you didn't try to do it. You didn't want to do it. You took the money and put it on something else. I have another family member who wants to do this thing called a penny stock. Really never looked into it. A penny stock is something, if I started back in like 1976 and I went all the way up to now, then it'll be some money in there. It takes time for it to grow. And even though you have a corporation, whatever, behind you, or you have, a corporation working with you, that doesn't mean anything. They only give you what they can give you, and that's a little bit of next to nothing. So with penny stocks, you would have to, just to get I think that for one share, it's like $100. So if you bought, let's say you had $20,000, you can buy 20,000 shares. To some people, may sound like a lot. 20,000 is like less than a half a quarter, probably just about a half a quarter of what it is. You need like $1 million to really sit down in penny stocks. And then, like I said, penny stocks can rise, they can fall, and they can leave you broke. It all depends. But this individual, he wants everybody to do the work for him, but he's showing no, how can I put it to you? He's showing no initiative on getting what he wants to get started. See, people follow by example. If you're willing to start something and people see you moving to it, you're working on it, you're getting it done, people gonna say, okay, well, you know what, let me jump in on this with you. I got a detail business, and it like I said, summertime is great because in the Northeast, we have seasons. Wintertime is very rare. You might see somebody might come up and say they want their car done, but it's usually the spring, summer, and fall. Very, very few in the winter, unless they want some interior done. But like I said, when you got somebody who sees that you're doing something, like people see me doing something, the first thing people say, hey, you got some work? Can I come to work? I'll employ my nephew. I'll employ a couple of people I know every now and then, especially when I'm busy. I'll employ them, and they'll probably work 2 or 3 weeks with me, or a week or two. It all depends on how good the business is. And they can make up to 4 to 5, anywhere between, I say, I'm not gonna lie, anywhere between $200 to $600 a weekend with me. Because if I'm making like 12, or if I'm making about $1,300 from Wednesday to Sunday, that's they get half of that. If I got 3 people, then we split it 3 ways. But when people see that, hey, look, he did this, he's doing that, he's moving this, he's moving that, then people want to get on board. And that's why I was trying to tell him, hey, if you start doing the work first, and you start putting the ground, the ground floor in first, people will see that, and then people say, hey, no problem, well, let's help you out with your penny stocks, or whatever you want to do. And when you sell, we got people who sitting there and trying to sell you a dream, so you can put the money in under them, so they can make money off of it. Who's really making the money? Ain't you? That motherfucker just got you to pay for his shit that he wanted, or her shit that she wanted, and then turn around, you're out of it because it's underneath his or her name. Now they can reap the benefits. So you gotta watch people. People talk shit, but they ain't doing nothing. That's the people you don't want to fuck with too much. But yeah, that's something. Like I said, our people, we don't want to do the track work. We're afraid to do the track work. We rather live in fairy tale land, and then when they see somebody else doing something or they got it, the first thing they want to do is jump on it. But a lot of us want to live in fairy tale land and say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I can't wait till I do this. And then you never do it because you're sitting there hoping and playing around when you could just work and do what you got to do. Sometimes, like I said, I learned something as me growing up, as being a man now. The last relationship I had, the last so-called, because it wasn't a relationship, it was a sponsorship. I was sponsoring somebody. Sponsoring her and her kids. And like I said, when I figured it out, it was so late in the game. But I said, I'll never date again, unless it's really serious. And I'm not even going to go. I don't think I even want to date anymore. Because the only thing I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do now, just do like I'm doing. I see somebody, me and them talk. If it pops off, it pops off. And it's just a one-time thing, that's it. If that person want to come around and keep doing what they're doing, it's fine too. But don't expect me to give you anything. You dig? Don't expect for me to, oh, my rent need to pay. I don't give a damn about your rent. I ain't your man. And y'all probably sit up there and say, well, you talking about being together and being all that. No. Only part I'm talking about us being together is if me and a woman came to a conclusion, or anybody and a woman, or anybody and a man, any woman and a man, anything, comes to a conclusion and say, listen, I want to be with you, you want to be with me, you have a job, I have a job, we both have apartments, alright, let's date for the next 2 years. And if we are good together, one of us will get rid of our apartment, or we'll both get rid of our apartment, move into something bigger and better, or move into a nicer house or whatever, and we'll start building from there, and then we'll get married. See, black people, we're not taught that. We're not taught to compromise. See, white people they've been in our business since day one, since we got here. They have been stopping us from growing for years. And when the women's lib movement came in the late 60s, early 70s, that really broke the family. They put that wedge there, and it really made the family collapse over the years. When black men and black women were together, they were doing what they were supposed to do. Now, don't get me wrong, you have some dead beats, but normally families stood together. Like people sit up here, like I hear these women on YouTube sit up here and say, oh, well, black women are the mothers and the nurturers of the community. Well, take a look at our community. We have more gang violence. We got broken little boys who go out there and beat on these girls and shoot and kill them because they can't have them. They're all tied up in their own feelings like little broads. They don't know how to be men. They don't know how to deal with certain things. Trust me, I was almost in that same rut. I had a father there, but when I was going through that portion of my life, he had a stroke. Right before I was really going through the puberty and the girl asking stuff. He was gone. He had a stroke, and he wasn't compass mentis enough to tell me how to get over things, how to do this, how to do that. Now, I was always around him when I was a little kid, so I was learning a lot of things on how to be a man on certain issues. But when you got a house full of women and they're shutting you down from being a man, calling you a faggot, calling you out your name, and trying to make you into a little girl, and come on, man, really, it's some real bullshit out here. But that's how these women fucked up the brothers. I look at it now, a lot of these cats out here, these little young boys out here, man, they all faggots. They all walk around, most of them all gay. They run around with a bunch of girls, they switching harder than a girl, and then they sit there and they talk like them, they hand gestures like them. They'll sit there stand like one, and they fight like them. A girl fight more like a dude than they fight. And I'm serious, man. It's real. So like I said, how's that working out? How's that that mothers of the community shit is working out? How's that working out? Because honestly, it's not working out worth a damn. And this is why the kids need men. Little boys and little girls need men. They need men for protection. They need men to show them how to be men and show them how to be treated as a little lady. You know what I mean? This is what men are there for. And a lot of us, we're not even compos mentis to that. I promise you I was going to talk to you about the conscious community of Facebook, which this is basically kind of tied up into it. It ties up right up into that, little boys acting like girls. I was listening to one individual, not going to say his and her name, but they had a little thing that they were on their piece and they were talking. And the guy, he's like one of those guys who make these documentaries and stuff and everything and make these little, that's what he makes. He makes documentaries. And his stuff be good. But you're supposed to be so intellectual. You won't let the woman talk. It was like you're afraid of her digging in your ass for some apparent reason. And all you could do is talk about this woman's hair and her makeup. Now, I'm not a big fan of this individual, the woman, because she's very naggy when she talks, and then she seems like every now and then she kind of like, how you say it, she kind of like contradicts herself. And that's really crazy. But this one guy, he contradicts himself every now and then. And he's very rude when he talks to his guests. I mean, very childish, and he talks. He reminds me of a loudmouth woman at times, because that's how women act. They want to talk over you. They want to shut you up so you can't say nothing. I watch as he would like turn her mic off so he could say what he wanted to say, no matter if she's screaming over him. See, that's what women do. Women scream over each other. And that's what they were doing. They were bickering and screaming over each other. But he had nothing to say to her about anything, like anything to debate-wise. He just wanted to talk about the woman's hair and her makeup. I mean, you're supposed to be this